Welcome, everybody, to the Hockey Think Tank podcast, brought to you by Hockey Think Tank. You, a community of over 250 plus passionate parent, players, and coaches. It's a place for you to go to get a little bit of education and a little bit of inspiration regarding the greatest game on the planet. Guys, we're going to do the intro a little bit differently today. We've been talking about Hockey Think Tank U and what it can bring to the table, but we've put some breadcrumbs out there on social media that we had a big announcement coming out today. And guess what, guys? You know what mine and Vex's favorite thing to do in the entire world is? It's to give out free information that can add some value into your life. We know that this sport is extremely expensive, and we know there's a lot of people that are sacrificing a lot from a financial standpoint to help your kids achieve their dreams, and we want to help. And so what I have done is we have put together some of our best resources, and we're just giving it away for free. Legit just giving it away for free because that's our mission, man. Our mission is to make the hockey world a better place. And so what we have done is we've taken some of our best resources, the resources that we put out there that like we've received like the most positive feedback from, the ones that like make the biggest impact in people's lives, and we're just giving it to you. And so this is all up on our website, thehockeythinktank.com. And the way that we've organized it is we have three different, we call them bundles. We have a player bundle, we have a coach bundle, and we have a parent bundle. And these are all free, like legitimately all free. Just go to the website and you get it. And so what are in these bundles? Let's start with, what do you want to start with, Vex? You want to start with the players, the parents, or the coaches?
Start with the players.
Start with the players, okay? So first thing we have, leadership and life skills program. A leadership and life skills program. These are the kinds of things that we feel like are really important that kids need to understand and learn and develop these kinds of skills that will not only make them better hockey players and better leaders, but better people. And so talking about like how to effectively communicate with your teammates, talking about how to handle adversity and build resilience, how to lead a team, things like that, how to find out what your superpower is and what your strengths are that you can bring to your team, right? So a leadership and life skills program that's digital that anybody can use. Also, goal setting guide. A goal setting guide that these kids can use to legitimately put themselves on the track to doing the things that they need to do every single day to achieve their dreams. And it's really simple and it's really effective, and it's just a way for these kids to have some organization into their goal setting and their dreams. So those are the two things in the player bundle. Free. Go to the site. Right there. Number two, you want to go parents or you want to go coaches?
Parents.
For all you parents out there, we have two things for you. Number one, our Hockey Think Tank Parent Guidebook. The youth hockey world can be extremely difficult to navigate. It can be very confusing. And so we have put together a guidebook for you guys that can help to create some sanity in the insanity. And that's everything from, hey, I don't agree with what my kid's coach is doing with my kid. How do I handle that? Hey, how do I have a really good car ride home with my son or with my daughter? Hey, how do we build a really good parent culture so we all have a great, experience with this team with this year? So this guidebook has all those types of things in there. And then the second thing that we have is, I call it Recruiting 101. So for all of you that have kids that have dreams of playing college hockey and beyond, like this is a recruiting 101 of like what that path is going to look like. Different junior leagues on the men's side. And I should say we have one for the male side and we also have one for the female side because those two paths can be different. There's no junior hockey for women. And so, what are scouts looking for? We'll take you through the scouting process. What are all the different junior leagues? There's been so many changes over the past, couple years with major junior being able to play college hockey now and stuff like that. So it's a recruiting 101 guide of what that path can potentially look like and how you can support and help your kids when they are on that path. So parents, those are a couple things that we have for you. And then for the coaches, again, coaching education, we cannot have player development without coaching education. right? And so we have an X's and O's program where I'm legitimately up on the whiteboard and I'm drawing up every single zone and every situation. Here's, 4 different versions of forechecks. Here's 4 different versions of a neutral zone forecheck. Here are the habits and everything that's necessary on a breakout, and so every zone, power play, penalty kill, face-offs, face-off plays, we go through it all. And so X's and O's. Then we also have a team building guide. This is something that coaches have absolutely loved. I get notes all the time on like, hey, my team, we want to do something to create some connection. We want to do some kind of team building event. It's all age appropriate. There's so many different events that I've seen done and researched. That's all in one place. And then lastly, I've what's called like a habits handbook. So all the different habits, everything from position specific type stuff to things in different zones, like just all the little habits that are important for us as coaches to really make sure that we are imparting and developing in our kids to make them better hockey players. So guys, live in the mission here. We are living the mission. This is all free. It's all 100% free. Yes, we have our blueprint, which organizations pay for, where we come in and we work with your organization. We have our hockey think tank community that you have to pay for. And actually, you don't have to pay for the community because we have said if you cannot afford it, we will give it to you for free as well. But like we're living the mission, man. And this is just ways, if you're a parent, if you're a coach, if you're a player, to help and to get better.
Unreal, dude. Love it. Very cool buckets that you're putting them in.
All you got to do, go to the website, thehockeythinktank.com. It's all there. Click on it, get it for free. Boom.
Get better immediately. Oh yeah.
Get better immediately. We haven't even, I was so excited about that. We have not even introduced our guest or my co-host, even though I brought him in here. Our guest today, guys, this is one of my favorite podcast episodes that we've done. 7.5+ years that we've been doing this. We're bringing on Dave Moss. Dave Moss is a kid from Michigan, did not play AAA hockey, played AA hockey, played high school hockey. Then he ends up getting drafted in the NHL as a 7th rounder, goes to the University of Michigan, plays 4 years at the University of Michigan, and then he ends up playing over 500 games in the NHL, plays for the World Championships for Team USA, and having an unbelievable hockey career. And these are the types of stories that we love to have on this podcast. And it was really, really cool to talk to Dave about his journey, how he made it, the support that he had, and now as somebody that has kids that are playing hockey and he's coaching them, like this was an unreal conversation with an unreal guy. Before we do get over to Dave, though, let's bring on the talent of the podcast officially in a one Jeffrey J. Hulavecchio. Vex, what do we got here today, brother? How you doing?
Great, dude. Great. Good Wednesday. Did a brain mapping.
I saw that. How was that?
I don't know. We'll see. I think I got 2 C's and a D. No, I don't know. They put this cap on. They told me to do these things. It didn't take long. Next, the doctor is going to look over my results of what's going on with the old noggin. And then they'll come up with like a customized plan to help me work on the areas of my brain that are lagging, deficient, overactive. I guess they've worked with tons of military, tons of athletes, CEOs who just want to perform better. Drew Shore, who's been on the show, awesome guy. Hook me up with them. So really, really excited to see what this is about and take this further. And then I think the training is about 6 months that I'll do, for 15 minutes. I believe it's like twice a week or something. I can't remember all the details, but I'm excited to see what happens and I'll keep you updated.
Yeah. Get that noggin healthy.
Yeah. Stoked about it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, man, that's all that's going on with me.
I like it. How much did you love this episode with Dave?
I mean, it's really cool because, like he was another guy who played for the St. Louis Sting when I was, maybe I was in 6th grade then. I don't remember. So it was like somebody I looked up to. He's on the team with, I think it was like Jan and Cam and guys like that and Keith Rowe and guys who were, maybe like 5 to 8 years older than me, if I had to guess, around there, different ages. And I just remember him being nasty. And then I followed his career because I got to watch him play in St. Louis and saw that he was at Michigan. I don't think I played against him. I think I missed him by a year, maybe. And then got to watch him play in the NHL. And I was like, wow, dude, I was watching that kid when he was 16, 17 years old. And to hear how he made it in the NHL was a really cool story because he wasn't, some superstar. He talks about how he played on the fourth line his senior year of Division I hockey. And he wound up playing over 500 games in the NHL, I believe. Again, just somebody else who made it from the fourth line and found a way to add value at every level and just kept going up and had an amazing career and is doing some cool stuff in his life now post hockey too. So you guys are going to love this one. He's a well-spoken dude and seems like a great family man. So it's a good conversation.
Yeah, I got to know Dave when I was working up at Michigan, and yeah, just a great guy. And it was funny because his little guy and Nar's little guy were on the same little like Mite Squirt hockey team. I can't remember. And like their coaching staff, we talk about it. It's like insane. It's like the who's who of Michigan hockey. TJ Hensick, one of the greatest hockey players to ever live. Like he was so good growing up, man. And Danny Farty, like all these guys, just really, really good dudes. And we love bringing people like Dave on because, 99.9% of the kids that are listening to this podcast are not going to be the first round draft pick or draft pick at all. And these are the kinds of stories that give you the motivation and give you the permission even to get after it and go after it. And you might not be where people say you need to be right now, but that doesn't mean you can't overtake it and pass people from your work ethic and your diligence and just the way that you approach every single day. And so this is just an incredible episode. And then with that, one of the things we've been doing in each of our introductions right now is taking something from the community from the week before and talking about it. And Vex, like I wanted to do this because every Monday we do a Mindset Monday. Sometimes it'll be videos from people, but I actually wrote something for this week's Mindset Monday and I wanted to share it with you guys here today. And like, this is something that I've been hearing and talking about so much, but the way that I heard it, it was a different spin. I heard it on a podcast and it was basically validate your dreams with your work ethic. Validate your dreams with your work ethic. Okay. So here's what I wrote. A little motivation to start your week. Let's go. I was listening to a podcast this morning and I heard a line that I'm going to frame and put in my office. Validate your dreams with your actions. In life, it's easy to have a dream. Putting in the work necessary and having resilience to that dream is the hard part. If we want to achieve anything worthwhile, we have to narrow the gap between the size of our dreams and the size of our actions. They have to be one and the same. If you want big things, you have to be consistently committed to action. It's showing up every day, even on the days where you don't feel like it. Big dreams are great, but big dreams with no actions breeds regret. Big dreams with dogged action breeds the chance for greatness. Confidence comes from putting in the work consistently. On the flip side, a lack of confidence comes from I should have done ... What is your big dream? Does the size of your dream meet the size of the actions you're taking to achieve that dream? Man, like I just, so much of what I believe is on action. It could be small. It could be tiny, but it gets you moving forward into the direction that you want to go. And so much of people not really realizing their dreams is not putting in the action. And a lot of times not putting in the action is because of fear, right?
100%.
Like fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of putting yourself out there, fear of going all in and not knowing what the reward is going to be at the end of it. But like, you have to do. Like this world was built by doers, and failing and doing and failing and doing. And just, you might not be able to take 3 steps forward in a day, but you can take a half a step forward, which puts you in a position to take 3 steps forward the next day and the momentum that you can build. And so I heard that validate your dreams with your actions, right? Like, I just think that's a really cool way of putting it.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah. Dude, you're so right. Like,
prove yourself right.
And object in motion stays in motion too. So getting 1% better today, like you said, helps you to take a bigger step tomorrow because you didn't pause, you didn't lose momentum. How many people, like just using like training or exercise, for example, miss a day that they know they shouldn't have missed and they feel bad about it. Then they get anxiety. Then they think about it and then they don't go to the gym for another week. And because they missed one workout, where if you just would have dropped down on the floor and done some push-ups and some body weight squats, you could count it as a win because you stayed in motion. You took some kind of action, even though it was imperfect. Imperfect action beats inaction 1,000% of the time, you know, and it's all about living in a way that gets you closer to your goals, so that they're goals. They're things that you are working towards to attain, not only being able to reach them when you're sleeping. And that's a dream. And that's the difference.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really, really easy to have a dream. It's really, really difficult to put in the work necessary to be able to achieve it. But that's why being great's really, really hard. You know, that's why achieving your dreams is really, really hard. And yeah, when I heard that, I was like, man, I want to write about this in our community. And then I wanted to share that with everybody on the podcast here today, because I know, you know, we have thousands upon thousands of people who listen to our podcast. There's going to be somebody that's listening to this right now that's putting something off that they know they shouldn't be. And they're not doing the thing because they're fearful of what the result or lack of result is going to be. I promise you, like, that just gets you regret, and it keeps you in this spiral. And all you got to do is take that first step, man. So if you are that person, all you got to do is take that first step, make that phone call, write that thing down, reach out to that person, you know, whatever it is that you've been putting off because you're scared. Like, don't be, go do it. Let's go. Validate your dreams, validate who you are, validate your character by your actions.
Love it.
Right. All right, man. This was a great episode with Dave. Before we do get over to him, we got some people to thank. First and foremost, want to thank our title sponsor, icehockeysystems.com. It's the best website out there for all of your coaching education needs. They got thousands of drills, whiteboard explanations by really, really high-level hockey people, the ability to go in, draw your drills up, create a library for you, or if you do their association platform where you get this for every single coach in your organization, you can build a library for your whole organization. Just an unbelievable value add. This is not just for coaches anymore, though, guys. It is a fully functioning, family-friendly, unbelievable website now, because now they have what's called family accounts, and they have so much great information. We've partnered with them in there for parent education and for players. So not only is it for coaches anymore, but this is just unbelievable info for parents on there. Great videos, unbelievable hockey people talking directly to you as parents, giving you advice, learning how to support your kid. And then the kids like hockey development stuff from really, really high level hockey coaches that can help make you better. So go to icehockeysystems.com today. Check out the family accounts and check out the association platform as well. Jeffrey?
I want to say thank you to Train Heroic. Train Heroic's the amazing platform that's allowed me to work with tens of thousands of hockey players across the world, working with tons of academies, AAA organizations, Central States organizations, travel organizations all over the country, deliver quality training at an affordable price. So thank you, Train Heroic, for allowing me to help so many people so cheaply.
Love that. Also want to thank Helios Hockey. Helios Hockey is one of the best hockey development products on the market. It is a sensor that you put into your shoulder pads that gives you real-time data and feedback on your play, particularly on two things that the kids absolutely love. Number one being a hustle score. Every time you move, that sensor lights up and it gives you a little bit of a sense of how fast you're going and how hard you're working. And the kids love it. They love comparing themselves to each other, a little bit of more competitive nature, especially if you get this for your team. You can get this for your entire team, which is really, really cool. But also skating development. And you want to play at the highest levels of the game, you got to be a great skater at this point. Like, the game has become so fast, and it gives you great development tools and great data on your speed and your quickness and your skating stride. And the kicker, though, guys, the kicker is not just those unbelievable development opportunities. The kicker is this syncs up with your video. Whatever video you're using, it could be LiveBarn, it could be an iPhone, it can be an iPad. It syncs up with your video, and you can have your shifts from your game or your reps from practice cut up for you directly when you're done. Cannot even believe if we had this back in the day, Vex, the ability to just like right after your practice or right after your game, watch all your stuff. Like, what a great development tool that could be. So go to helioshockey.com today and use the coupon code ThinkTank, one word, and you will get a 20% discount on your Pro Annual or your Pro 24-month subscription. Vex, they just sent me a Helios starter jacket too. They got starter jackets.
Ew,
so we sport
nice.
that.
I guess mine's in the mail, huh, boys?
Unbelievable. What's that?
I said, I guess mine's in the mail, huh, boys?
I think, what was the saving silver mine? It was like, I think it's possible she didn't even send the invitations. Guess our invitations got lost in the mail. HeliosHockey.com today. Go, go, go. Vex, you're up. You're going to thank all of our listeners.
Everybody, we love you guys, right? All we're trying to do is help everybody we possibly can in the hockey world with the experiences that both we have from playing, coaching, scouting, training, all the above, as well as all of our guests who we bring on who are, usually smarter than us, like Dave Moss here. Smart guy, Michigan. What's that? Not the Western of the Michigan or the Cornell, but it's all right. It's University of Michigan. But anyways, we love you guys. Please keep sharing the show. Please, literally all we want to do is help. The more people that listen to the show, the more people we get to help. So share it, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Send the links in your group chats, your team chats. Send it to your mom, send it to your dad, send it to your grandma. We love you guys. Appreciate you. Share the show.
Love you guys. 100%. 100%. So go to thehockeythinktank.com. Get that free stuff. And you guys are going to love this episode. So without further ado, here we go with Dave Moss. We are so excited to have on this episode of the podcast out near Detroit, Michigan. We got Dave Moss. Mosser, how are we doing today, man?
Good, man. How are you guys?
We are good. Some crazy news coming out about the Red Wings here. Little trade demand from their captain. How's everybody doing? Red Wings fans. It's been a minute since we've been in the playoffs. How's everything going up there with the big club?
Oh man, I think the Red Wings fans are. Obviously, I grew up a Red Wings fan. Leaving to go play for a while, you sort of lose that fandom. But I think the fans here are obviously passionate and want to see a team making the playoffs. So I think there's maybe not so quiet anymore, but more of a push, maybe a little bit more pressure in some areas. So I think the people that I know that are in the hockey world, fans of the Wings, are hopefully they can turn it around soon and get back in. Selfishly for my kids too. I remember watching the Wings playoffs growing up. It was not a more fun atmosphere in hockey. So I want my kids to be around that and experience it and be able to watch some playoff hockey here.
Yeah, no question. Well, let's go to that, because I have to imagine that growing up in Detroit at the time that you did, with them winning cups in the mid to late 1990s, that must have been a huge part of it. But take us back to the beginning, man. How did you end up falling in love with the game? Do you have family involved? Was the Red Wings a big part of that? How'd you fall in love with the great sport here?
Yeah, so I was, my family wasn't involved. My dad played every sport, probably but hockey, growing up. I think I got involved. A funny story, when I was 7 or so, I think I told my mom I wanted to play. She went to Kmart and bought skates and a helmet and maybe a stick and gloves. And my grandpa took me to a travel tryout, and it was embarrassing. I had figure skates on, and it was really, it was bad. It was bad news, but I loved hockey for some reason. I think part of that was the Red Wings, and in Michigan, we had CBC, which was Hockey Night in Canada. So we would watch that every Saturday night with my dad and just developed a love for it. And we had a little rink in our backyard growing up. So was able to go out there and skate sort of whenever I wanted. And my parents knew nothing, but they enabled the passion to invest and make the commitment to, how expensive it is to play hockey. So they did all those things to enable my dreams. And yeah, it was just a ton of fun growing up. And like you said, those Wings teams back in the day, the Detroit area was crazy Red Wings, and we were all in on it. They had great players, all-star team. So it was a ton of fun to watch. And I think that's where sort of that passion developed as well, as being able to watch playoff hockey year in, year out, Stanley Cups, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. I grew up a Red Wings fan because the Hawks were so bad during those years. I wore 19 because of Yzerman and all that kind of stuff. So, in fact, I think actually we got signed Yzerman jerseys one year for Christmas. I feel like maybe Aunt Kim got them for us. You remember that?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Shout out Aunt Kim.
What's up, AK?
Yeah, I had actually, when I went to a practice, maybe this is part of it too. When I was a young kid, in Squirts or something, we went to a Wings practice, and Steve Yzerman gave me his stick at the practice. So I still have it. Yeah. So I still have it. And that's pretty cool. My kids, like, it's in their room now and they have it. So it's like one of those things that like you always remember, and like one of those things where you become a lifelong fan as a kid when something like that happens.
Totally cool.
I tell all of my guys, I don't care what level they're at. If they're above and like other kids are watching, I'm like, dude, talk to them. Sign every autograph. If you're allowed to give sticks and pucks or whatever, like for what you just said right there. Like, you know, how old were you when you went? And
I was probably like 9 or something.
Dude,
yeah.
I mean, like wild. And look at the career you have. And that probably just made you fall in love with the game. Such a simple thing. He doesn't even remember it. It's like so important. Like, players listening, if you're playing midgets and the young kids are watching you, or you're a junior player, like sometimes I would get so pissed off when guys be like, oh, we got to go to an autograph signing. And I'm like, bro, I dreamed my whole life of that when I was getting autographs that I could be that guy. Put yourself in that kid's shoes. To you, you're playing in Iowa or Nebraska or somewhere, and there's no NHL team. Like, you're that kid's hero. You could change his life, and who knows, could be the next freaking David Moss or the next whoever, you know. It's so important to do those things. For sure.
That you're spot on mine. I think now that you have kids and your kids are going through it, like we were, you know, at a Tigers game the other day, and Kevin McGonigal, the young kid on the Tigers, like stopped and signed every kid's autograph. So our kids have like a baseball signed by him, and like now he's their favorite player. They love the Tigers now, even though they're maybe not as good. Like, it creates lifelong fans. And I think that's spot on. I think it's easy to forget sometimes as you are playing a game and getting older, even playing in the NHL, right? You forget that part of it, but it's good to remember that, because those are the kids that are going to be the fans that are coming to watch it, that are hopefully trying to play one day.
Dude, 100%. Yeah. Well, let's talk about your youth hockey journey a little bit, because you played for Detroit Catholic Central High School, which if you're in the Detroit area, you know, it's the powerhouse there. But, you know, I think there's, I don't want to say a rift, but there's certainly, you know, now going on in Detroit, there's the AAA everywhere, everywhere you go. And there's let's call it a rift between high school hockey maybe and the club hockey world. But talk about your experience just growing up and kind of how you and your parents navigated that. You know, you go from, you know, playing Detroit Catholic Central to playing junior hockey to University of Michigan, which is every kid's dream growing up in Michigan. So talk a little bit about just those years and those decisions that you made as a family and how it affected your path.
Sure. I think the simple answer is I think my parents were sort of blissfully ignorant. Like, they didn't know much about hockey. And so I just played tier 2, like in my city in Livonia, where I grew up, until I got to CC, where, you know, as a sophomore, tried to make the team and made it, but was on like what they called the taxi squad. So you were on the team, but you practiced. You weren't going to play games, which was fine for me. And, you know, that first year, my sophomore year, I ended up playing probably half the games at CC and just worked hard and put my head down. And the next year had a really good year and started to get recruited by junior teams. And then my senior year, I signed a tender to go to play in St. Louis, which I did for like a month and then got traded to Cedar Rapids. But navigating the going to high school hockey, I think was just, the program was a good program. I knew the head coach there. And, you know, I think my parents just wanted me in a good environment. So I think that's all I wanted. I think part of, you know, it wasn't part of the plan, but I think looking back, what I needed was practice time, right? So we were able to practice 4 days a week. The schedule's like a college schedule, which was helpful for me, you know, and I think every kid's different growing up. I think there's some kids that maybe were further advanced that were playing AAA and needed that. But what I needed is to practice and have coaches that, I could develop my skills and grow. Like, I was a smaller kid. I didn't grow until I was a sophomore in high school. So I needed that time to develop. And, you know, as I did, like the growth curve was steep once I became a junior and senior and, you know, put on more weight and got bigger and stronger. But yeah, the path is different for everybody. That just happened to be my path.
All right. You got to give a little shout out to the coach there. He's a little bit of a legend in Detroit.
Yeah, legend. So yeah, Gordy St. John was there and Todd Johnson were at CC when I was there. So Gordy's been there forever. Todd Johnson took over and he was there for a long time, and they were both just great. I mean, they were, you know, coaches who demanded a lot. but also just taught you a lot of things about how to be a good person and how to do the right thing. And, I remember one game, like I took a bad penalty and like Todd, the assistant coach, just ripped me about being selfish and not a good teammate. And that stuck with me. And I use it today. It's like, if you're not a great teammate and unselfish, like you're going to have a tough time playing at any level. So I use that with our kids today. It's like, hey, if you're going to play on our team, you have to be a great teammate. You have to do all these things, or else it doesn't matter how good you are as you grow up and play on higher level teams. Like you guys seen it in college or pro, like you're looking for guys who are great teammates, and that's it.
100%, man. And I just want to reiterate to all the kids that are out there, because I feel like Vex, I would say the message, well, I feel like there's two messages that we probably hit on the most in these conversations. Number one is how important resilience and surrounding yourself with the right people is. And the second thing is like everybody has a different path. Mosser, you played 500 games in the NHL. And at 15 years old, you were in and out of the lineup on a Detroit high school hockey team. And so it's interesting. Like, I feel like so much of what I hear with how professional it's gotten at such a young age, there's parents that are like, man, if my kid's not here by 10, their career's over. If they can't get in right now, then, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Man, like how many stories do we have like you, Mosser, where it's like in and out of the lineup at 15 of a high school hockey team. Now, a really good high school hockey team in Detroit, but you played 500 games in the NHL. Like what, let me ask you this. Knowing what you know now, having gone through your path, playing at Michigan, playing as many games as you did in the NHL, now you're coaching in youth hockey. Like, why did you make it? I'll just be very, very blunt. Like, what was it that allowed you to go from where you were at 15 to having the career that any kid would dream about having? Is it some hockey stuff? Obviously, it's probably a combination of hockey stuff and some life stuff, but like, why?
Yeah, well, I think it goes back to, I think anybody you talk to, you have to have the passion for it, right? So I think there's that, and it's not manufactured or wasn't like put in place by like my parents or people. Like it was like I liked hockey, right? Like I went and played in the backyard, I shot, but did whatever just because I liked it. Like no one had to tell me to do anything, and I think that's part of it. And I think the other part is like having great coaches, right? The coaches who understood the game, who pushed you, who focused on development. And then, just having that, like I always wanted to play hockey, right? Like that's what I wanted to do. I didn't know how to do it, but I knew that I loved doing it. And it was something that, like I never had to be told. And so I think like my kids now, it's like, you see a lot of kids these days where it's like parents can sort of skew the development curve by putting them on the ice 5 days a week and doing all these things. But I think at the end of the day, that sort of runs out. I saw it with kids that I played with. Like they got to high school and they were done, toast. Like they didn't want to do it anymore. Where I was the opposite. I got there and I was like, nah, I'm ready to go. And I think that was because I also I played hockey, but I played every other sport you can imagine growing up. So I had a lot of time off from hockey. So when I got back into it, like I was all in. And so when I was a junior in high school, I quit playing baseball to focus on hockey because we were going to Canada for tournaments in the summer. And that's when I was 16. So like, that's probably an appropriate time. But before that, like I played every sport you could find, sort of like you hear about. And so now like I tell my kids like, hey, like be an athlete first, like go play all these sports. And eventually you're going to find the one you love. And then you're all in on it.
Well, you just wrote the book. Rewind that last minute or so for everybody out there.
Dude, we've been doing this show for 7 years. Toph always says the most important thing is you have to love the game so that you want to do all these other things. And like people just think we're like lying about that, and it's like, dude, everybody who played a long time and reached high levels is like, I just loved getting better at hockey. I loved everything about hockey. And that's why we're such big proponents at the youngest ages of helping to, create environments that allow young players to love the game rather than it's so professional and so serious at 4 years old, and all these crazy tournaments and people thinking that their kid's not going to make it anywhere because they didn't play on the AAA team at 7. Yeah. And it's like, dude, come on. No, love the game. Teach them that getting better every day is a huge win in hockey and in life. And that's what really matters.
For sure. I think the one thing too, maybe that I didn't mention is I think it's very important that kids at young ages, like me, right? I played tier 2 and I was able to have success and develop at the tier 2 level. And I think it's important for kids now. It's when you're talking about AAA versus tier 2 versus high school versus whatever, it's what environment is your kid in that he can develop confidence, right? So for me, I developed a lot of confidence playing tier 2. I had the puck a lot. I was successful. I wasn't scoring 6 goals a game, but I was, and if I was to play AAA hockey, who knows what would have happened? Maybe I'm on the third line or I'm not playing or I don't like it or whatever it is. So I think my message to kids now, my own kids, is hey, let's get you in the right environment, whether it's tier 2 or AAA, wherever that is, where you're going to feel success. You're going to feel like you're gaining confidence and you're not just hanging on for dear life just to say you play on this team or that team or AAA or whatever it is. Because I feel that can be a really detriment to kids and crush their confidence. And then those are the kids when they turn 13, 14, 15, they're just out of the passion, right? It's gone. And you don't want to take that away from kids.
That's one of the biggest things that I've been talking about a lot, Mosser, is just trying to find the best way to communicate the longer term vision of this thing, because you said, how many players did you play with? And I can think of a ton that I played with too, where it was so serious, so fast. And, maybe it's honestly physically, maybe they hit puberty first at 11, 12 years old. So they were kind of the best player. And then, so they were even pushed even more. And then by 15, they hate hockey or they've just regressed because it's no longer fun for them and they don't want to put the work into it. I think the way that you've talked about it here over the past 5 minutes is just really so important for everybody to hear. What you're doing at 8, 9, and 10 and 11 is setting the foundation for the kid to actually make the jump to become an elite player at 14, 15, 16 years old. And so there's those environments that you're talking about, whether it's the pressure that kids feel nowadays, whether it's the pressure that the parents feel nowadays, which 100% will trickle down to the kids. They're going to feel that, the coaching and how kids are coached. Are you coaching to develop? Are you coaching the love of the game? Or are you coaching to win so you can recruit the best players to come to your program the next year? That stuff matters so much at those young ages. And I fear, especially for the kids that are actually really talented at those young ages, what kind of environment are we creating for those kids? Because so many of them at the end of the day, we all know how hard it is to quote unquote make it at the end of the day. Let's put that even aside, but you have to love the game. You have to want to work at it. And that's not necessarily the environment that especially the most talented kids at 8, 9, 10 years old are put in, is it?
No, it's not. And I think one of the things too that I've seen just going through it now, you see it a lot, which I've never understood because I played on one organization my whole life, right? When I was growing up. And what we see now is you see parents saying, well, I'm just going to take my kid. We're going to go here. We don't like it. We're going to go here. We're going to go there. And it's I always think what does my 9-year-old want to do? Right? Does he want to go play an hour away just because it's a better team? And because I think that's the best thing for him? Or if I was to ask my kid right now, hey, if you can go play on a AAA team, that's an hour away. Would you want to do it? He would look at me and be no, I want to play with my buddies here at where I'm playing and keep developing. He would. So I think that's the thing that gets lost too. It's sometimes parents, I think, they're trying too hard to manufacture something that I don't know if the kid wants. And the kid doesn't know any better, right? Because he's just in the situation. But if you take a step back and you just look at it, it's man, what does a kid want? Does he want to, play with his buddies, keep developing and enjoy it? Or does he want to sit in a car for that long and be slept all over the place and do all those things, which may be fine. But I think at the young ages, you can really, you can create something that is unintentional by the parents. They think they're maybe trying to do the right thing, but over time it becomes a slog on the kids. It becomes long car rides, a lot of games, a ton of practices, a lot of pressure, all the things. And then at 14, when the kid says, man, I don't feel like doing this anymore, the parents like, what happened? And it's a long time of all those things that add up, and that's the thing that I'm always cognizant of with my own kids, right? I'm like, I don't want them to get to that situation.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really does it for bad reasons, especially like we all have kids, Mosser, you and I have, yours are a little older than mine, but we're in the same, frame of life. Vexers are a little younger, but like, we're going to do anything that we can to help our kids be happy and achieve their dreams. And yes, I like the way that you put it. Like, you almost try too hard sometimes instead of just like letting the natural and involving that in the process. Like, what do you want to do? Like, you think like kids they play sports because they're fun and they're with their buddies. Like, that's why they get into it. And I think like once that starts going away and you have kids that are you're hopping from team to team, you don't actually have actual friends who are, you're going to the rink with every day. I mean, I don't know. I think that's a huge component of it. And so to try to marry the two is difficult. And parents are always, like you said, like, are always trying to do the right thing for their kids. There's nothing intentionally harmful, but I think it can be unintentional. And you just don't want to get to a point where, your kid is not enjoying it and not having fun, and then comes to you and says, hey, I don't want to do this because of all those things. And you might have been doing it for the right reasons, but not realizing the unintended consequences of some of that stuff.
Yeah. I think part of it too, like what birth year are you, Mosser?
81.
God, you're old. We're young buck, 85 over here. Tope's much older than me, but anyways, I think back like growing up in St. Louis where there wasn't as many options to play places and you had to like play for your local club. I had to figure out going from the A2 team to the AA team because I couldn't just leave to go to the new startup team. Like, I had to practice harder. I had to get better. I had to learn the lesson. You got cut. You weren't good enough. So I think also part of that too is just, and my daughter's not even 2 years old. So I can't imagine how hard it is, but like sometimes, maybe staying in the harder situation is the best for them because you're teaching them a life lesson that if you want to move up or whatever, like, okay, we got to figure this out right now. You're just not there yet. And not everything in life is handed to you. And I think kind of part of the hockey culture as of late, the last like 10 years, we've kind of had some spoiled, entitled kids coming up because they could always just, I'm going to pick up my ball and go to the next place and play, and I think we need a little bit more of stick-to-it-ness here.
Well, I think parents, this is not just a hockey thing. I think parents in general these days, and everyone, myself included, probably is in this camp. They're trying to remove adversity from their kids' lives, right? Like trying to do anything they can do to try to help their kid out. Once again, unintended consequences, maybe like there's not as much adversity, where at the young ages, like, adversity is the best thing that your kid's going to go through because it's setting them up for life. We know that, but sometimes as a parent, you try to remove it because you don't want your kid to go through a disappointment or a tough life lesson or things like that. But, that's where, I try to preach to our parents too. A little thing like complaining about the refs, right? We don't do that because it's life, it's adversity. There's going to be bad things that happen. We don't complain. And I tell the parents that, I tell the kids that. And I think those sort of things are things, like you said, maybe get lost a little bit because parents are trying to do the right thing, where it's like, hey, let your kids fail a little bit now. It's okay. It's fine. They're going to be okay. Later on in life, it's going to pay dividends. So
true, man. Like, it's so true. I mean, if you didn't have a ton of, or if you played the amount you did when you were 15 and then you were like, I'm going to go to a different school, you probably don't play in the NHL. Like, you didn't learn how to like battle and be in a lower role and find a way and all these things. Like, adversity is so important. But let me ask you this, because you have children older than me, and I honestly want to know this. My daughter, I'm sure, is 2 years old. she's not hitting a ton of adversity right now. But do you have
Are you
advice
kidding?
for me?
2-year-olds hit a ton of adversity.
Well, you know, like this, like sporting adversity, you know what I mean? So like somebody like me and other parents out there who have younger kids, is there anything you do in the moment if your son or daughter is hitting adversity in sports where you have a process to go, is this something that I need to step in, or is this something I need to teach them through the adversity and not try and solve it for them, you know?
I think as much as you can, you try not to solve it for them. I think if you watch kids, they'll figure it out themselves, right? Like if you a simple thing like you try to control a practice at a young age, right? Like if you want to watch kids at sticks and pucks. Like I take my kids to sticks and pucks sometimes, and I go sit upstairs. You know what the kids do? They go out there for like 10 minutes. They're shooting pucks around, and after like 10 minutes, they figure out teams and they start playing a game. And it's like they'll figure it out if you let them do it. If you let them go through some stuff, they'll sort it out. And you don't want to remove those obstacles from them as much as you can. It's hard because you might know the answers, you might know better, but if you let them sort it out, figure it out on their own, they'll do it. The kids we don't give us enough credit. A, they're resilient. B, they're most of the time their instincts are correct of what they're thinking to do without having adults in the room. And the best thing you can do is just sit back and watch them, because they'll sort it out eventually, right? It might take them time, and that's okay. Hard to do as a parent, right? It's hard to do. Like watching your kid fall on a bike a million times is tough, but it's how they learn how to ride a bike.
Amen. It's in so many different ways. So many different ways. All right, Monster, I want to get back to your journey here because, you know, you're a Michigan kid and you get to play at the University of Michigan for Red Berenson, the absolute legend of a coach. You win 3 CCHA championships in the 4 years that you're there. You know, looking at the rosters, first of all, the rosters are hilarious, Vex, how many people we know on those rosters, but like, talk to us a little bit as a Michigan kid. You know, I got to work there. It's where we first really kind of connected. And just talk a little bit about how special that was being able to play for the Big Blue growing up in Livonia.
It was awesome. Obviously growing up here, you know, living here, was a dream come true. Play for your hometown team was great. Obviously, playing for Red, a legend in his own right, was great. Not only a great coach, but just like the life lessons, right? Like you coached at Michigan, you go to play there and you walk out of that place with a different respect for, the way you should carry yourself, the way you should act, the way you should do things. And I think Red, the reason why I got to play in the NHL is because he taught me how to play hockey, right? I was never first or second line guy, but had enough skill to contribute. But when I got to pro hockey, I knew how to play the game. And I think that is the one thing where, there's way more skilled guys than I was. I wasn't very skilled, but I could play the game. I could think the game. I was able to kill penalties, do all the little things that coaches, want reliable players. So I was able to do that. And I learned that all at Michigan, right? I learned, it wasn't fun playing on the fourth line as a senior, but I could kill penalties. I could grind. I could do all the things that when you got to pro hockey, if you couldn't do it, you just couldn't play, So I think those things are the reason why I was able to be able to transition to pro hockey. And it came easier, for me than probably a lot of, there's first and second round draft picks who were skilled, who just couldn't play in the NHL because it's hard to be a top two line. It's always impossible to be a top two line guy. And if you can't do the things the third and fourth liner does, it's hard to play. So it's almost easier for me to be a third or fourth line guy who could just be reliable, be coachable, and do all those things, and be able to kind of fit in more easily than some of the guys coming out that were high draft picks.
Yeah, and that kind of goes along with one of the questions I had for you. We've all kind of looked at and done the research on just how hard it is to make the NHL, especially if you're not a first round draft pick. Every level you go down, the chances of you actually sticking go way down. And then when you get to the 7th round, 220th overall, where you were picked, very few play in one NHL game, let alone 500. And so, the willingness to do those little dirty hockey things that, maybe not the skilled players are always willing to do had to be a big part of that. But it's a similar question before, but like, what was it that you learned? What were the attributes that you had, either from like an actual hockey playing standpoint or just like even a mindset standpoint, do you think allowed you to have the career that you had at the level with the best players in the world?
Yeah. I think number one, be coachable, right? I think that's the one thing. Like, pro hockey is it's cutthroat, it's fickle. Like, if you don't have many chances, and I think the coaches in pro hockey, like, they're trying to further their careers too, especially in the minors. So like, if you can't be a reliable player, you really, like, you just didn't play, right? And I saw that early on. It's like, I wasn't the best guy on the team by any stretch, but I could listen to what the coaches were telling me, and I would do it. So like, once again, not rocket science, but like, if you're a kid, like, little things like, hey, like, here's the set breakout we're running. Well, like, there'd be guys who just wouldn't do it or wouldn't do it right. Or, you're running a system and here's what it is. Well, if you're not going to listen to it and do it, the coaches just aren't going to play you. And so I think, I had advantage that I did what the coaches asked, right? And I worked hard and, was reliable, and it wasn't anything crazy, but it was something that I think sometimes kids, they're younger pros, struggle with, right? You're a really good player coming out of junior or college hockey, you score a ton of points, you get to pro hockey, and now the coach is asking you to check or asking you to block shots or do things that maybe you're not used to or not comfortable with. And you realize quickly that those guys sort of just get filtered out and passed over for the guys who are willing to do those things.
I think that goes right into what we were just talking about earlier, parents taking their kids away from adversity. You just said, I'm a senior playing on the fourth line at Michigan. Let's be serious. No senior wants to be on the fourth line their senior year of college, but because adversity, found a way, did what coach asked you, few years later, you're in the NHL, the highest league in the world, where, and it's every kid's goal. Because of that adversity that you hit earlier, you found a way through it. It's like, it's the same thing we're talking about, just shifted a few years. And it's just, being able to hit that adversity and find a way over, around, or through it. It's so freaking important in hockey and life after hockey.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the other thing too, is I think it's was easy for people to make excuses, right? Like, oh, like, well, like, I didn't make because of this or because of that, or coach didn't like me, this guy. And it's like, that was one thing, like, my parents and my grandparents were like, they were like, don't make excuses for anything, right? Just, if there's something that happens, like, whatever, figure it out, right? Bad, anything. So like, that's the attitude I tell my kids, like, hey, bad stuff's going to happen constantly. Like, no excuses, figure it out and just keep going, right? And I think, like, that's the thing that in pro hockey too, you had a lot of guys who were just, pissed off, right? They're high picks, they're not making it, they're playing in the minors. And instead of being like, man, like, what do I need to do, like, to fix this? It's like always someone else's fault. Coach doesn't like me. Whatever it is, right? And so I think that's the one thing too. It's like, hey, don't make excuses, figure it out. And, like, if you don't like what the coach is doing, like, I've never, Toph, you coached, I've never had a player that if I ask him to do something, he tries to do it, like, had a problem with him. If a coach asks you to do something, you don't want to do it, that might be a problem, right? So like, just do that. Like, you're going to have coaches you don't like. We all had them, right? Like, maybe you don't like what they're doing. Maybe you don't like your role. But if you take whatever they're giving you, the fourth line role or whatever it is, and you're the best penalty kill there is, the coaches have a special place for those players. And that's why I got to play. Like, I wasn't great in the NHL, but like, Dave Tippett liked the way I played and was able to keep me on the team for a couple more years in Phoenix because, like, I was reliable,
Reliable. That's a great word. Consistent, reliable, know what you're going to get. For me, the best compliment I could ever give a player is you're an everydayer. Like, I know what to expect from you every single day. You just your approach, your consistency, the energy with which you bring, the type of teammate you are. If you're an everydayer, that's the coach's dream. because those are things you can control. You can control your work ethic. You can control your attitude, all that kind of stuff. Well, let me ask you this, because I think it goes along with, the topic of what we're talking about right now. But you mentioned a little bit earlier in high school, Todd Johnson chewing you out, being hard on you when he thought that you weren't being a great teammate. You get to the NHL. Two of the coaches that you have in the NHL are Mike Keenan and Brent Sutter, who are widely known as people that, quote unquote, are tough to play for. They're hard coaches. And I think it's a really important conversation to have, because one of the things we also try to talk to kids about is like, if a coach is coaching you hard, that is a good thing. That is a very, very good thing. You cannot make it to the levels that we all got to, and especially yours, Mosser, if like it was easy. Like, you need people to hold you accountable to high standards every single day. And parents need to hear that. And kids that have that dream need to hear that. And you have to go through it. And so I guess my question to you is, and Red was the same way, he had a high standard too. So playing for him, playing for Brent Sutter, playing for Keenan, I have to imagine that playing for Todd Johnson, helped you immensely when the coaching got even harder, when you got to the higher levels. The coaching never gets easier. It never gets less. Sure. It gets more every level you go up.
For sure. And I think what you mentioned is spot on. I think now that we coach kids and you coach, right? The kids that you hold accountable, you're doing it because you see something in them that they might not see in themselves. So if your coach is getting on you for whatever, if you're being lazy, if you're doing something, the coach cares, right? You most of the time, right? It's for the right intention. So yeah, it's like Mike Keenan, the stories about him are all true, right? Everyone's widely known. He was a tough coach to play for, but I think once you understood his method, you could play. I had my best year in the NHL playing for Mike Keenan, and he would rip me all the time. But there was one time where he came up to me and was like, "Hey, listen, I'm going to rip you the entire year." And he was like, "Just don't listen to a word I'm saying." He was like, I'm loud, I'm angry, but he was like, just go play hockey. And I was like, okay, that's it. Brent Sutter, same thing. Brent could be tough, but Brent played forever, right? And he was a good guy. You could tell he cared about his players. You could sit down and have a coffee or beer with him, and he was great. Could be held guys accountable. Could be tough for sure. But I think if you have that relationship, that you're a human being as well, I think it goes a long way. And players respond to that. And I think, like you said, you always are trying to get the best out of your players at no matter what level. And when you stop doing that, that's a red flag to be like, okay, maybe I know I got nothing left to get out of this kid or this player. But yeah, I think the lesson on those coaches, or any hard coach, is hey, once again, be coachable, do what they're asking you to do. If you do that, usually you're not going to have issues.
Yeah. And I think the important conversation too is what does being a hard coach mean? Because for so many people, it comes with a negative connotation, when in reality, it's a really good thing. It's important. To me, I define a hard coach as somebody that has really high standards for you and is dogged and holding you accountable to those standards every day. And the coach has to do that in their own authentic way. But you also, like you said, you have to have the relationship. If you don't have the relationship, then you're going to get shut out real quick as a coach. If you do invest into the relationship, you can push that kid as hard as you want. And so I just feel like defining what being hard means is really important. We're not sitting here saying and again, Mike Keenan, there's a reason he's not coaching the NHL anymore, because some of his hard, doesn't necessarily translate to the players of today. But it's not, being hard as a coach is not screaming and yelling and coaching out of fear. Being hard is investing a lot into a relationship with the kids so you can push them outside of their comfort zone so they get better. At the end of the day.
For sure. And I think having, like you said, having standards, right? And that's just not on the ice. I mean, a lot of the stuff I talk to our kids about is it's all off the ice stuff, right? It's, how do you interact with your teammates in the locker room? What do you do when you go to a hotel on the road? How do we act? How do we treat people? How do we talk to people? How do we carry ourselves, like that sort of stuff is the stuff that, if I ever am tough on our kids, it's stuff like that, right? Like stuff like, you're being a bad teammate, a goalie letting a goal and you threw your hands in the air or did something where, you were being less than ideal. Like those things drive me nuts. And that's the stuff I hold them accountable for. The on ice stuff is, you're going to make mistakes all over the place. But those sort of things, I think, is what I try to drive home at a young age. So when they get to 14, 15, 16, those things are already ingrained in them and they're good teammates and they're what coaches would look for, because you guys know this. As you get older, the pyramid narrows. Everyone's a good hockey player in juniors, right? Everyone's good. It's like, what do coaches look for? They look for all the intangible things that are those sort of things that's going to separate you from the rest of the kids. I want a great teammate on my team. I want kids that are willing to do all these things, not going to be a derelict off the ice, right? All those things. And that's what separates it.
I've been having a lot of conversations the last 3 weeks because I train a lot of midget AAA players and junior players that are trying to move up leagues or whatever, going to new teams, getting drafted, things like that. And with all of them, before they leave, I'm like, you come to my office before you leave to go to the camp. And I talk to them and I'm like, shake my hand. I make them shake my hand. I'm like, look me in the eye. I'm like, when you meet coach at camp, you shake the hand like a man. You look him in the eyes. Nice to meet you. And I was like, listen, I don't want you to be fake, but you need to do the right things. If there's people working on the rink, you treat them the right way. I mean, you should have already been doing this, but you need to treat them the right way. You need to dress nicer than everybody else, because I said the exact same thing. I said, as hockey goes like this, there's less and less difference between the guys who make it to that next level. And how can you separate yourself? How are you treating every single staff member inside of the rink? Did you clean up the locker room after yourself? Are you getting out of the hotel room and you look like a mess and you got a backwards hat on and you're dressing like a garbage man? Or did you put yourself together? I was like, if it's between you and another guy, they're going to take all of these other factors that aren't hockey into this to decide who they're taking. How do you want to show up? And now do that for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Spot on.
Foster, you're in it right now, right? You got kids that are playing and stuff. And before I ask you a question about kind of coaching youth hockey, you got to tell Vex the coaching lineup that you guys had for your might team in Michigan. Vex, you will die. This is insane.
Yeah, we always, myself, TJ Hensick, Brandon Nar was there. Danny Fardig, who played at Michigan. So we had a decent lineup. Team wasn't very good, but the coaches had a good resume.
maybe that's the team you leave your club for. Is that one? Who's got those guys coaching?
Yeah. It was a good
Michigan stud alumni freaking coaching staff coaching a bunch of 8 and 9-year-olds is so good.
Yeah. TJ Hensick, unbelievable at hockey. Oh my God. Dude. I just got to say that at Western, we played against him in Michigan two or 3 years when I was there. And I feel like he had multiple 6-point games against us. It was I'm on the penalty kill and I'm like, what do I do against this guy? God, he was good at hockey, man.
He was great. And an even better guy too, right? Great guy, unbelievable with the kids. Really, really good with the kids. And I think, that's what, great hockey player, but equally as good or better person.
That's cool.
I will still, so he's our birth year monster. And I will say with 100% conviction that TJ Hensick is the greatest youth hockey player that's ever lived. And then he went on, what did he score? 250 points in Michigan or something like that.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
Insane. But getting back to some of the youth hockey stuff, I'd love to know from you with all the experience that you've had in knowing your journey and in youth hockey all the way through up to the NHL and now kind of giving back and sharing your knowledge. What's the biggest thing that you've learned about coaching youth hockey? Because it's a learning curve for anybody that's played or coached at the higher levels to get into youth hockey and understand that it's completely different. And it's learning, to say the least. But so what do you think are the biggest thing or biggest couple things that you've learned getting into it now?
So number one, patience is key, right? I think getting into it, like you should ask, it's funny, you should ask Nair about the first practice we had with the little guys, because he had this practice plan and we were going to do all this stuff. And like, he found out quickly that 6-year-olds can't do one-touch passing drills and stuff like that. So we had to scrap it and go back. So we've learned a lot. I think patience is key. I think youth hockey development, I actually learned a lot from Nair and from you guys, right? Like we talked about running a practice and how to teach kids different things. And I think what I've learned is the best way to teach kids passing and spatial awareness is through a ton of different small area games that are lopsided, 3-on-2, 4-on-2, games that are fun for them, but it forces passing in a way that's fun for the kids and they don't even know they're doing it, right? So you put them in situations where there's always going to be players open. It forces them to move to get open. So we've developed probably like 15 drills and the kids all know the names of them and we run them all the time and they love doing it. So it drives competition and it just teaches them a lot of awareness. So I've learned that. Like I didn't really know how to structure a practice for 6, 7, 8-year-olds, but I've learned that those sorts of drills are the best things for them. A, they work harder, and B, it teaches them things that you don't even need, the hockey IQ, the hockey sense, where to go, how to move. It teaches them all those things. So like that's probably the biggest learning I've had. And I think like the one thing that maybe I didn't know as much is like how awesome it is, like coaching little kids, right? Like it's frustrating at times, but it's the most rewarding thing ever.
100%, man. Especially those little ones.
No, it's great.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I was just going to say, I'm coaching 6-year-old softball right now. And I don't know if I've ever had more fun coaching in my life than this. Yeah. It's hilarious. But anyways, go ahead, Vax.
I was just going to say 6 is a little bit younger, but for me, it's just always cool when you see somebody not getting something and then you can go over and, hey, try it this way. And then you see them do it and you're like, wow, it's just a really cool feeling. Like, and they actually get it. Like they're like, oh, and then now they're doing it over and over and over. And you're like, oh man, that's really cool,
Yeah.
So,
the development curve is fun to watch too. I think it's crazy. I think you look back and you see like where they are a year later and you're like, they went from like barely being able to skate to like now they're like, buzzing around the ice, moving the puck. And it's like that happens so fast and it just compounds over time. But yeah, that's been the most rewarding part is just seeing the kids develop and see them enjoy it. Like they truly have fun when they come to the rink. The practices are upbeat and fun and the kids like it. And it's like at the end of the day, that's why you're doing it. Like if I wasn't enjoying it and the kids weren't enjoying it, there's no chance I would do it. But it's a ton of fun.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I got one more question for you, Mosser, here. And like we usually put this in our 10 questions that we do that's housed in our Hockey Think Tank U community. But with your journey and it's just like I feel like your journey is the one that most kids that are listening is the one that they're going to have to go on. Very few of us were the surefire first rounders from birth all the way up, and so we always ask this question to our guests on our 10 questions, but I wanted to ask it to you in front of like everybody, I guess you can say. But like if you had one piece of advice for a young hockey player that had hopes and dreams of playing at the highest levels of hockey, what would, like, knowing your journey, what would that piece of advice be?
Man, that's a good question. I think a couple things. One, you have to have a passion and enjoy it on your own, right? Like it has to be something that you just like doing, and not because your parents asked you to do it or you're someone's making you do it. Like you have to enjoy it, and that's okay to not. But I think like the one common thread you probably see with guys that make it is like they have a passion for it and they don't get discouraged when there's adversity, right? Like there's a million times in my life or career where, like you said, it would have been easy for my parents to say, hey, you're not going to play at CC. Like your coaches said, you're not going to play. Let's go find another team. It was hard to be like, hey, go sit on the bench and watch and figure out how to get in the lineup, right? So I think the piece of advice I would have for kids is be okay with adversity, be okay with grinding through it, and just know, like, if you do all those things, like maybe you'll have a chance, but you have to do all those things. You have to be able to grind through it. You have to be able to deal with adversity. You got to be coachable. Like without those things, you have no chance. With those things, maybe you have a chance. So like that would be my advice. It's the advice I give to my kids, right? Like every kid, what do they say when you ask them what they want to do when they grow up? If they love hockey, they want to play in the NHL. Like that's great. Like here's how to do it, but I can't do it for you. You got to go do it. So, and I would say to parents, like be patient. It's a journey. It's a long process. Most kids aren't going to play in the NHL, so enjoy it. Enjoy every second. And if your kid has a passion for it and they love it and they have some athletic ability, try to foster it and just enjoy it. So that would be my advice for kids. I think it's not rocket science, but it's something that you can't manufacture. It has to be authentic, and surround yourself with good coaches. And I was fortunate to have that.
100%, man. Well, Mosser, thanks so much for your time here today. We're going to keep you for the other 9 questions for the 10 questions that will be in our Hockey Think Tank U community. But man, I just think there's so much great stuff in here from so many different avenues that's going to provide value to anybody that's listening, especially the young kids with a dream, man. We were all a young kid with a dream at some point in our lives, and we had to get lucky. We had to be surrounded with the right people. We had to understand how to get through the stuff that you just talked about, some of the harder moments in our lives and in our careers. And I just feel like it's going to go such a long way for kids that are in that spot right now. So appreciate your time, man. This was awesome.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciated it.
It all comes down to this: a best-of-7 battle, and DraftKings has you covered every step of the way. The DraftKings Sportsbook app is now available in all 50 states and includes all markets. Sweat every shift of the series, all in one place with one app. New DraftKings customers sign up with code THPN, spend $5 to get $200 in rewards within 21 days. That's code THPN. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Bet with DK Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, bet text pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Void in Ontario. Event contract trading with DraftKings predictions involves risk of loss. Sportsbook bonus bets expire in 7 days. $50 in predictions dollars issued weekly for 3 weeks, expire in 1 year. Redeem one non-withdrawable reward. Availability varies. Predictions offer void in New York. Ends June 28. Terms at dkng.co/audio.